how customer support can really unlock your next marketing campaign. Danny and I are so excited to speak with you all today. We actually gave this discussion at HubSpot's Inbound conference back in September, and it was a sold out conference session. And we were just really excited to bring this to more people and to open up this topic for larger discussion. So thank you everybody who joined us here today. First of all, I'm Sam Anderson. I'll be kind of hosting today. I'm CEO and co-founder of Origin 63. And Origin 63, we're an elite HubSpot partner. We actually help teams not only implement HubSpot, but fully adopt the platform as well to get that full ROI on the software. But for the last 2 years, we've really been championing this idea of customer service and customer success inside of HubSpot. So I'm extremely passionate about this topic, and I'm so excited to be speaking about this again today. And we're also joined by Danny. Danny, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Danny Vendrell. I'm on the product marketing team at HubSpot, and I'm solely focused on Service Hub. So I've got the unique kind of perspective of I'm a marketer at heart, but I focus on a customer service and success product. And so I deeply kind of know the folks and what their challenges are. And hopefully I'm able to help connect some of the dots along with Sam for y'all today.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you here, Danny. I love speaking with you. All right, everyone. So I want to start with a story. So in 2010, Delta had a major brand issue. It was getting pummeled left and right on social media, in magazines, in publications online. And the main issue was their customer support, customer experience. What was happening during this time, and you have to understand the context behind this, right, is that Delta was having thousands upon thousands of maintenance cancellations. So think of it as dozens per day of flights being canceled due to maintenance issues, which is huge. And when Delta kind of took a step back to understand what the issue was and why people were really having this terrible customer experience, one of the things that they realized was that at the time, marketing's message was centralized around reliability. But if you're having dozens of cancellations daily, I don't think that what you're saying around reliability is really what your customers are experiencing. So Delta really knew what they had on their hands was a major disconnection about the customer experience they were selling and what people were actually getting from them. So what did they do? So Delta took a step back and realized they really needed to align the organization around what they were hearing from their customers. They put in place the listen, act, listen protocol. So essentially what this did is it gave Delta the opportunity to look at marketing, look at the customer concerns, look at operations, and really prioritize listening to what customers were telling them. They used that feedback not only to change the way that they were operating as a company, but also to improve the customer experience overall. And what they did during this time was really empower teams at all levels, including those on the ground or in the airplanes, I should say, to act swiftly to improve the customer experience. But what marketing realized during this time was that they really needed to change and make improvements rapidly to make sure that customers were understanding what the company was doing to improve their experience, because they were really, really going through it when it came to the brand appearance. So what they started to do was lean into those changes that they were making to ensure that they could win back trust. And so with the feedback that Delta got, they launched the Keep Climbing campaign. So you're actually seeing ads right here from the Keep Climbing campaign. So marketing really leaned into that humble aspect of, yes, we understood we weren't quite doing what we said we were, but we are going to make it right. So these messaging leaned into the fact that their staff was going to really support the customer experience. They highlighted the changes that they were going to make and really attempted to connect with their customers on that emotional level to really ensure that they could build trust and show how they were making those improvements. And this was a wildly successful campaign. This actually really helped Delta turn around not only their customer experience, but also that brand reception. And honestly, Delta is one of the strongest today. So why are we even talking about this? Well, Delta is a really great example of why customer service and marketing should work extremely close together to be able to unlock that winning marketing campaign. So, Danny and I are going to take that example and kind of break it down into three ways that you can really do this in an actionable level. So, the first we're going to talk about is how to use customer feedback as a marketing tool and how to also get the insights from that kind of feedback. Two is personalizing that marketing message at scale using the feedback that you got. And the third is unifying the customer journey all the way through from marketing to sales to service and also back. So we're going to talk about this today. We're really excited, and let's go ahead and jump in. Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, awesome. So we talked a lot about a really, really good example. We're going to break this down. And so what did Delta do? They realized that customers are the key to sustainable revenue growth. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're tuning in and you work on the Delta marketing team, well, nicely done. We use you as an example. But if you work for just B2B SaaS, if you work in manufacturing, if you work in an e-commerce kind of business, customers are the key to sustainable revenue growth. And CX leaders, customer service, customer support, customer success, they're the most poised to help drive the sustainable revenue. Because the reality is, for a business to grow, you need to either add more customers. That's what a lot of us marketers and sales folks are focused on. Or you need to go deeper with current customers. CX leaders are at the center of both of these things. They drive advocacy that powers marketing and sales. They're accountable for satisfaction and usage, and they're in the driver's seat of retention and expansion. And so understanding exactly what customers are feeling is super, super key to help your marketing and sales team level up their jobs as well. And so at HubSpot, we talk a lot about the flywheel. And you may have seen it if you're a HubSpot fan, maybe you haven't. But the flywheel, you see marketing, sales, service, and you've got customers at the center. And so the idea here is that with all of these three functional areas focusing on the customers, that kind of flywheel begins to spin faster and faster. But what a lot of people don't see, or maybe don't realize as a marketing team, is that that service portion connects into the marketing portion. And so if you're not doing enough looking at what your support team and your success teams are working on and understanding what your customers are saying, you're actually leaving a lot on the table. And so we see this at a lot of companies. Not enough companies operate in a way where they're focused solely on the customer. And so this customer kind of falls through the middle of the flywheel, and there's a gap. It's a broken flywheel. Marketers are attracting visitors and creating leads. Your SDR team is creating deals. Sales reps are closing deals. And then it kind of just poofs out into the universe, and marketers are focused on getting more leads, and your sales team is focused on getting more quota. But the reality is that the intention is that service is feeding really directly back into marketing, really directly back into sales. And by having that alignment and all of those organizations working together, you're actually increasing your customer success as a whole and helping your business grow faster. And there's a lot of stakes to getting this right and doing this at a high level. We actually just released our state of service trends report just a couple of months ago. And some of the data that I wanted to pull from there, 97% of CX leaders want to improve their collaboration with marketing and sales. And so if you're on this call, you're a marketer, you don't have kind of active relationships with your customer success or customer support peers, 97% chance that they would be down to meet with you and be excited to share the insights that they have and want to have better collaboration with you. That's a pretty good shot. If you're in the 3%, I'm sorry, what can I say? 97%, we do the best that we can. Teams with unified data say that their customers are 225% more likely to receive a personalized experience. Regardless of where you sit in the flywheel, everyone cares about delivering more personalized experiences. And the only plug that I'm going to give you, HubSpot customers with Service Hub, in addition to Marketing Hub and Sales Hub, close 67% more deals. And that's because it's all in the same tool together. So if you've got a customer support team that's using a different tool, you may just have to go over some additional hoops to get access to that, or try to figure out how you can get those insights. But when you do it all in the same spot, our customers are closing 67% more deals, which everyone, regardless of where you sit, cares about. So CX teams, their roles are evolving. It's not just about kind of this reactive, slow support, triaging tickets, helping just solve challenges and on to the next. They're really being seen from a cost center to a revenue driver. Taking a much more active seat at the table, a more strategic seat at the table, providing more proactive support and success so that CX teams can improve sales and marketing. One of the other stats that was in the report is that 82% of these CX teams are being tapped on the shoulder by C-suite leaders to take a more active role in the sales process. So this is something that's coming. And if you're on this call and you're not working on it right now, you can get ahead of the curve because we see it at large, regardless of industry, regardless of company size, that there's a big opportunity to kind of bridge this gap between CX and marketing and sales. And one of the biggest ways to do this and most important ways to do this is by capturing their feedback at scale. They're capturing their data and their insights is no longer just a nice to have. It's super, super important. And Sam's going to walk us through a little bit of that right now.
Yeah, so now you understand really the importance of service into marketing. How do we even go about doing that as marketers? So the first thing I just do want to mention is that HubSpot does have customer support, customer success tools within the platform. And what it's going to do is allow us as marketers to see the tickets coming in. Those tickets are going to capture data regarding what issues, the categories, the resolutions. It's going to be attached to contacts and companies in the centralized CRM. So that means all of the data that we are collecting on those tickets associated to those companies, all the information associated with that company on that record can be pulled by us and used as insights. So this is what Danny was saying, where like when we do have each team under one roof, that is where we're able to get these insights a lot faster and a lot better. But of course, you can do this with any service tool as well. We're going to obviously lean into HubSpot a bit throughout these examples. But what are we looking for when we're doing ticket analysis? So first of all, I do want to mention the best way to do this is to make sure you're pulling ticket data with a slice of your ideal client profile overlaid on that. The reason being is we really want to make sure that we understand the context in which these tickets are coming in. So if we use our ideal client profile, we can really understand who our audience is that are requesting these types of tickets. And once we do that, we're really looking for trends. So we want to understand, what are people struggling with? What are they asking for in terms of support? Are there frequently asked questions that come up time and time again that perhaps as marketing we can address within our own marketing materials? But more importantly, too, what are some of the unique challenges or requests that we're getting from that core market that we should lean into? Because from here, what we can really determine is what are the pains that our tool is looking to solve for our customers. This can also be done through looking at survey results. So on top of just getting tickets through, we also see a lot of service teams send surveys after a ticket is completed. So a CSAT is like the customer satisfaction score. How happy were they with that answer? CES is customer effort score. Things like what easy was it for you to check out? So if it's an e-commerce, for example, you might see this after an order. NPS is like our industry standard. So we're looking for those detractors and promoters. And then of course, we can also do custom customer surveys where we're really trying to dig into what's going on. But the reason that these are so great is that as people are giving you a score, we also see feedback coming through. So we can ask them why that score. And what this gives you context into as a marketer is, what are people really loving about your product or service? What are people really dissatisfied about or frustrated with? These are the topics that we can lean into to really frame up the meat of our campaign, the focus of our campaign. And the first thing that I always look at too is what kind of language continues to come up in these surveys. Language is so important. And that's why so many brands are really leaning into social listening as well. What we're looking for in this case are not just trends around sentiment, but also trends around keywords. So I talked about seeing that from your feedback on those surveys, but we can also do a lot of deeper level listening with tools like Sprout Social that can give us insights into how our customers are talking about us when they're not talking to us. some of the best feedback we can get as a brand is feedback that will never reach us directly. And that's where tools like social listening can really come into play. But also, this gives us really interesting insights into who we might be coming up in the conversation with as well. So, this is a great way of doing some competitive insights too. And what I really love about this is getting to understand how we should be communicating our product, our service in a way that is just so simple for our customers to really, really grasp. So when you combine all of these things together, you not only have the language, but you also have the insights into the topics and the categories that you should frame up your marketing campaign. So once you get those insights, what do we do with that? How do we actually use that to personalize at scale? Danny?
Yeah, love those examples. As you can see here, I've opened up the kimono, so to say, into my Amazon recommendations. And so as you can see, I've got a 2 and a 4-year-old, Bluey, big in the house. We're buying some
Always
smart
Bluey.
lights. And so Amazon's just sending me smart light recommendations forever for the rest of time, apparently. This is one example of how my interactions with their website influence the way that they followed up with me. It would be really weird if I was getting products or recommendations for things that I had no intention of buying, that I had never looked at. But a lot of times we do that as marketers for our products and services. We put things out there, we boil the ocean because every company in the history of companies does the best thing at the thing that they're trying to do. And so they just say,
Mhm.
here's all the things we do. And it may not actually hit exactly what Sam was saying, layering on your ICP and what's most important to them. It may not hit them at the right moment at the right time. But if you can capture that data and capture and understand not just the negatives, like in the Delta example, but also the positives, the things where your customers are getting disproportionate value in your product and service, and then double click on those, it could be huge. So, how do you do this when you're not Amazon? Obviously, they've got a lot of technology and they've got a lot of inputs, but everyone has the ability to have access to a CRM, marketing automation tools that can store behaviors and actions and kind of start to build from there. Some of these things come out of the box, regardless of your marketing tool. Is someone opening and utilizing this email? How much time are they spending on landing pages? How much time are they watching this video? How many times did they click and open certain kinds of content? These things are all signals that are super easy to capture and action off of to say, hey, if someone is doing this, okay, they've now hit a threshold. Let's get them with something deeper. But there's also different ways. And in HubSpot, they're called custom events. Other tools have other kinds of features where you can get really specific and say, hey, this specific kind of action is something that we want to trigger automation off of because this behavior is indicative of someone that might be more open to getting this kind of message. So start to connect the dots in your mind about the possibilities that are out there. It's the ability to get hyper segmented. It's the ability to create dynamic content within emails, within landing pages. And you're only able to do that if you're capturing all of that data, like Sam was talking about, and actioning off of it, and also being able to identify the trends between them. Understanding that, like, hey, folks that utilize your product and service in this kind of way are more likely to enjoy this kind of content or go to this kind of landing page. So let's take that and apply that to a prospect audience as an example. Those are all things that you could do inside of, lots of different CRM and automation tools that exist today.
So, a really good example of that is if we're capturing that kind of data into our CRM, especially from service inquiries, interactions. This was an example I wanted to pull up to show you what that dynamically populated content can look like for somebody coming to your website. So, the use case example that you're seeing on the screen is actually servicing up location based information, understanding where the person's coming from, whether that's within their contact profile or their IP address, and then also looking at their contact profile within your CRM to understand what they might be interested in. So this example, like I said, is just location-based information, but the endless possibilities are really there because with understanding somebody's behaviors, their requests, their recent challenges, we can serve up things such as products based on preferences, blog articles, or other types of content related to recent ticket categories. so that when they're landing on your site, we can personalize their journey for where they are and provide them with the proper marketing messaging to connect with what's been going on in the background with this particular customer. So a lot of really powerful ways to utilize that data. And I think we would be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't also mention the fact that obviously doing personalized marketing at scale is a bit of a lift. And this is a tiny bit of a plug, but I just think it's so cool. HubSpot does have an AI tool called Content Remix, where you're essentially able to create a slew of different assets based off of one particular source. So if you have a blog article, for example, you can take that blog article and then create a landing page, an email, an ad, a social media post. And the AI is actually going to generate that content for you based off of the source material and some brand guidelines that you put into your marketing. And then it's going to allow you to actually adjust that content. So when we're talking about personalization at scale, a lot of times marketers get very overwhelmed by that idea, like, oh my gosh, how do I even do that? Well, you could use tools like Content Remix and the AI that is out there to start the process for you. And then it's just about making sure that you are inputting the tokens and the different types of personalization messages that get pulled into that content to do that dynamic personalization. So don't think that it's all manual. You definitely have some incredible tools. And I think we're just going to see more and more coming in the AI advent as well for marketers to be able to do this at scale.
Awesome. Love that. So we've captured a ton of data. We're building out the kind of foundation of personalizing at scale and hitting people with the right message at the right time that's relevant to them. Remember, it's a flywheel. It continues to spin. And so once you've launched something new, your marketing messages should always circle back to your customer service team so that you're all speaking the same language at every touch point on the customer journey. Think of the Delta example. Marketing was saying this, customers were experiencing this. If they would have talked earlier, they probably could have adjusted the marketing faster, but they didn't. And so then it started to bubble up and become a newsworthy story, right? You've got to market the marketing internally and get that buy-in. And that's a really cool way to be able to build kind of a feedback loop with your service and sales teams as well. Consistent brand messaging is the key to really ensuring your marketing campaigns are reaching every part of your customer or prospect's business in a unified way. They hear one thing from sales and another from their success rep, it can cause a lack of trust with your product or service. This could really transform customer service into a marketing touch point because they can adopt your campaign language. They could repeat the same things that you're saying about your brand. And then they can be kind of reinforcing what it is that someone was sold on, that brand equity story that you tried to build. They're reinforcing that in the way that they consistently talk with your customers. And again, customers are the key to sustainable revenue growth. So remember, with Delta, it was listen, act, listen again. And we could probably infer that then it was act and then listen and then act and then listen forever and ever and ever, right? It's not enough to just kind of look and do this as a one-time activity. You've got to build this as a feedback loop inside of your organization so that you could help your team anticipate questions better. You could help your sales team with sequences and snippets. And then you could also collaborate on things like knowledge base articles.
Yeah, and I think some like really tangible examples that Danny just mentioned is all of the content that you're producing as a marketing team, especially again, I know we're all talking about AI, and I'm pretty sure all of us are gagging every time somebody says AI, but I'm going to say it again. With the advent of AI, we can actually use your content as a marketing team to help service self-service. So basically have your customers self-service themselves. So the content that you're producing for knowledge base, for your blog, for your website, it can all feed into AI-powered chatbots that can then provide the answers from those sources directly to your customers in chat, which is so powerful. What that means is that your marketing messages can actually empower the rest of the organization to speak in the same language. And again, as we talked about, that's really the unification of the customer journey and making sure that they're having consistency in what they're hearing from every touch point. So all that content that you're creating can really help to serve your customers and the other groups in your business, including sales. So one of the things that we see a lot from marketing campaigns is the integration of sales touch points into that campaign. So using the insights that you gathered, the language, the campaign overall, we can actually create and enable sales with content like things, email templates or sequences, which are the automated email campaigns directly from sales, or even hosting the campaign materials like ebooks or other types of takeaways inside of HubSpot or your other CRM to help sales have something to send as a leave behind. So again, in this way, marketing is actually distributing its messages, not just through its marketing channels, but using sales and service as a marketing distribution channel as well. So a really powerful way to really unify the entire customer journey and entire story. And also, if you're interested in this idea of how sales and service can also work together behind the scenes to drive revenue, please feel free to download this. We'll also send it out after the webinar, but really helps you to understand the other pieces of the puzzle and how marketing can also support sales and service in that overall lead generation and revenue generation motion. All right,
Yeah,
so
love that.
talked about a lot today, Danny. I love this slide. Why don't
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit more about what we're seeing here and some of the concepts that we can take away?
Yeah, we're going to land the plane here with our last 60 seconds. We'll be really efficient. So this is what we call kind of internally the unfurled flywheel. So marketing, sales, service, but there's a lot that's underneath that. And so you see all these steps of kind of a life cycle of a prospect to an engaged prospect to a customer and retention and growth. And we wanted to kind of just draw your attention towards that bottom right part of the screen. And you could see that there's overlap that happens between these sections. It's not just marketing hands off to sales, sales hands off to service, and that's it. There's a lot of opportunities for you as a marketer or a salesperson or just an ops person in general to help connect those dots between service, marketing, and sales. And hopefully we've helped to kind of give you some inspiration of areas that you can get started. And kind of speaking about inspiration, this is this next slide is one that you can kind of screenshot, right? If you're in service, if you're in marketing, or you're in sales, these use cases here, depending on what's important to you, what we've done is, and these are HubSpot specific names of features, but these features exist across, some other tools in different ways, maybe not all in the same spot, but this is some of the core use cases that might be important to you for these three areas. And these are just some features that you can start to dig into and see if you're trying to create more social proof. Hey, start to dive into testimonials from surveys. If you're a salesperson trying to generate better referrals, let's start to create some automation based off of CSAT and NPS surveys and build from those insights. So this is a quick slide to kind of end on. Hopefully is inspirational for you, regardless of where you sit in your organization.
We just want to thank everyone for joining us today. We love this topic of customer support and marketing working together. And also, we just love customer experience overall. So if you have any questions after this or any questions at all pertaining to customer experience, success, support, Danny and I are more than happy to hear from you. Please feel free to email us at any time. And we look forward to helping you all along your journey. But with that, we hope you all have a great week. Thank you again.